Welcome into the studio. It's the Real Kyper and Bourne show. We have a Leaf Hour edition of our program, a rare
But why?
2 hours. They made us come back for a press conference. Brad Treliving, general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, addressed the media today for the first time since the Leafs were eliminated May 18th. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jake Schultz, and Jen Rolnick. Wow, we've got an all-star lineup upstairs.
Yeah, first hour is Jen, second hour is Jake. So the thing I will say though, we're on parish watch for Kyper because we were about to come into the studio and he's like, I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink this 25-year-old Coca-Cola. And I said, there's a water cooler right there, man. What are you doing? And he had a sip.
Yeah. So hold on for a second. So hold on for a second. I was cleaning out the basement, and my wife's like, "Get these out of here."
Yeah.
And I had these Coca-Cola bottles from All-Star 2000 with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Right. So not like, oh, they're 25 years old. They're actually 25 years old.
I had no idea what to do with them. So I brought them into I brought a dozen into the refrigerator outside our studio, and there was like 2 left.
Also, that's hilarious. That is hilarious that someone who didn't bring Coca-Cola bottles saw them in the fridge and was like, guess those are for me.
You know, it's
10
also
times.
That might explain the washroom smells that we have in the studio sometimes.
No. I'm sure it's fine. If anyone has any proof that I'm in danger, can you text the show 590-590?
25-year-old cola. Is it still good? Mythbusters. No.
And then Kipper's like, took one sip. He's like, oh, okay. Second one, he's like, oh, this is bad. This is really bad.
Now I'm a little nervous now because within like 15 minutes, I've had a salami sandwich, two pieces of chocolate, and this Coca-Cola. I have a bit of a tummy ache right now, and I don't know where to point the finger at.
That's all right.
The juice is good, eh?
Still make, oh, yeah.
Oh,
Is that where we're at?
I don't know where
Drinking
we're at
Coca-Cola and
we're
we got a 2-hour show.
We're May 29th.
Quit wasting time.
Well, 2 o'clock. We've never started at 2 o'clock.
Have we not? I think we did a full year at 2 to 4.
No, I thought we were 3 to 5 our first year.
I think we did 3 to 5 our second year.
2 to 4?
2 to 4, then 3 to 5, then 4 to 6.
I'll text Fab.
We are jam-packed with guests as well. Luke Fox will join us, sportsnet.ca, covering the Toronto Maple Leafs. He did attend the press conference with Brad Treliving.
Yes.
At the top of the hour, Ed Jovanovski will join us, who covers the Panthers. He'll let us know exactly why he believes they're going to the Stanley Cup Final for the 3rd year in a row.
Yep, pretty good. You watched the Treliving presser?
I did.
Yep.
Yeah, between holes today.
Did you play?
I did play.
What time did you tee off?
7:45 a.m.
Nice.
You pulled the Sammy move. I go early, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So had it on the Sportsnet Plus
This guy.
on my phone.
It is good.
Hit a couple shots, listened, followed along. So
Nice
why don't we start there? You guys want a quick comment before we go into some Kippers Clippers?
Yeah. Overall thoughts on it. I guess that Tree had lots to say. It was a long press conference. It was 50 minutes. I think he spoke for 15 or something before he took a question.
But a lot of it, was recapping, right?
It was a soliloquy off the top.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, for me personally, didn't do much for me.
Okay. Overall takeaways. I think the only thing we had a press conference about today was what's up with Marner and Tavares. What else was there really to say? Your decor is under contract till 2027. The goaltender's under contract for the next season. The players up front, you don't really know what you can do with anyone until you answer 2 questions. Like, you have no idea what you need to do until you know if you have Marner or Tavares, right? So the whole thing was, are you going to have these guys? And if not,
and he couldn't answer.
No.
Really couldn't answer it, but we'll get
To his credit, I think it's his fault he can't answer, but
we'll get some clips to read between the lines, Sammy.
Has anyone reached out to you about it or like asked your thoughts on it? Because it did seem, anecdotally from some of the stuff I'm seeing on X and some of the people like that maybe they thought he did a pretty good job and then he was very forthcoming and like it was, he spoke for 50 minutes. I really felt like it was just a pretty run-of-the-mill end of season thing. But the thing that it lacked for me, and this is probably on purpose, was emotion because of how long they waited. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like, you do the locker cleanout day and all the reporters down there, they're frothing at the mouth to get their clip. They're excited. Like it's a big day, locker cleanout. Everybody wants to ask the tough questions or whatever. But the team that eliminated them is now through a round. Mm-hmm. They're done before you've even addressed the media. Like it just felt like there was no real hardness about it. Like it wasn't like it was it wasn't contentious at all.
Maybe it was on purpose then.
It had to have been. But you don't get what I'm saying?
Thing is a wrench for sure. Like he doesn't know his status necessarily for a bit.
But do you kind of feel what I'm saying? That it kind of lacked emotion.
But I think it depends how you feel about what he said about DNA. Mm-hmm. If you feel like he said nothing there and was just being like, yeah, we just got to change our DNA, then yeah, I can see where you're coming from. If you feel like what he said there meant we need to make changes to the actual people here, like we need different people. That's what he means by DNA.
All right, let's start there. Brad Treliving on DNA, clip 1.
We've changed. We've changed a lot in the last 12 months. There will be change moving forward. That's just the nature of the business. No team comes back the same. We have to prepare, and not all change, might I add, is personnel. There'll be changes in personnel. I think we've changed a little bit. I talked about how we play. We've got to continue to change and evolve our mindset, and we've got to find a way to create the team, both between the years, personnel, to be our very best at the most critical moments. There's some DNA that has to change in our team. That's one thing that I found. If you keep getting to the same result, and that's not to dismiss a lot of the good that happened up into it, when you keep getting the same result, there's some DNA that needs to change.
Was there any follow-up after that?
There was. I believe Jonas Siegel followed up with the first question about DNA.
Okay.
How do you change DNA? DNA talk today. Clip 2, please, Derek.
When it matters the most, you have to embrace it. You have to embrace it. With all the things that are the challenges in front of you, good opponent, the stage, what's at stake, you've got to find a way to embrace that moment and ultimately succeed in it, right? The margins are thin. The margins are really, really thin. And when I say that, it's not, I don't believe that you have to go and change 20 players, right? It's not always about that. It's what can we do to help our guys? What can we do to find guys that can help? If there is change that we need to make with the team, how do we bring people in that have a mindset like that? But it's those big moments of really embracing it, but finding a way, whatever that way is, to get through it and have success.
Yeah, that to me is just a lot of tap dancing around the original comment. And it's not Brad's fault if he's not getting pushed on some harder questions, then tap dance away.
What would you have considered a harder question?
What DNA are you talking about? Yeah. Let's start there.
Do you mean
how's your leadership DNA? You happy with it?
Yeah. Culture stuff
Does that have to change? If I was Brad, I would have handled it the exact same way.
Yeah.
But if he's not getting pushed or being asked, I'll say it, tougher questions, then he gets to go to do the merry-go-round.
Yeah. Again, I do think that what he's being asked about DNA, it depends how you interpret that. Like, DNA is really hard to change. And he talks about mindset. I don't like mindset stuff. I don't like the way we play stuff because that's what we've heard for years and years.
But he gets away with saying that because no one's pushing him harder to say, okay, Brad, where are you on the mindset? Like, where was your mindset on when it mattered most? Is it just like, is it DNA? Are you hiding behind DNA, or is it just a fancy way of saying we weren't good enough?
This is the thing, though. Like, when you watch the Leafs go 7 games with Florida, but have the 2 games where they absolutely go comatose in games 5 and 7, to you, is that it's mindset? It's something that they need to work on between the ears? Or is it the people that are the way they are? Is it players? And you need different players. Is it, can you take this same player group and go, we need to be calm in the big moments? And that's what it was. Like, to me, they weren't that close. They weren't mindset off.
That's exactly right.
Not when you're outscored 12-2 in your last 2 home games.
In your 2 biggest games of your quote-unquote Coors era.
Yeah.
You're outscored a combined 12-2.
So again, when I opened the show, I said, to me, it's about Marner and Tavares and not those moments, but it's about them because are we talking about them going and finding different people so the mindset changes? Is that directly what we're talking about? I don't know what DNA means.
Yeah, I think
that would have been a very good follow-up question here. Is changing DNA meaning taking the actual DNA that you have out and bringing in new DNA?
Yeah.
Right? Are we talking about 2 guys, 3 guys, 5 guys? Like, how many DNA changes do you need?
It's hard to change the DNA of the people you have. It's hard. I guess it's possible, but it is a challenge to change an individual's DNA.
Yeah, I think, to me, DNA, like, because he did that in his preamble.
Means do not answer.
Means
you just dance around
That's
it.
great. Yeah. Dance, not answer.
Yeah.
It just feels like something that they sat around, had some meetings. Him and Pelly went to dinner and they're like, what's our buzzword going to be? And it's going to be DNA.
Yeah.
That's what it comes off as to me. It doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. Your biggest players are crap in the biggest games. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Florida was better than you, no question, but they weren't that much better.
Yeah.
You can't lose 12-2 in those 2 big games combined. At the end of the day, like, DNA means nothing. Like, it's just the most ultimate one that everybody can put on the sportsnet.ca website. They need to change their DNA. It's up there, DNA. It means nothing, boys. It means nothing. It's the most meaningless thing I've ever heard. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think so.
It's like, I wonder
to his credit, I love what they've done here.
I wonder what DNA, I wonder what, what's Sam Bennett's DNA look like? Because that's what they're looking for, and they're just going to try to overpay him. I don't know.
That's well said, Sam.
Sorry.
You don't necessarily have to go there yet. I mean, the conversation will evolve there, but I think...
Well, then what are you talking about? If you're not talking about that, it's like, are they going to hypnotise Matthews and Marner? Ooh. Like, be better now. You're better in big games. Ooh la la. It's like, what are you doing?
Isn't that the old Ted Green?
Get the clock out.
Ted Green had a line.
Put it back and forth.
Ted Green, the assistant coach in Edmonton, one of the lesser players, got knocked out. And then Ted Green advised the athletic trainer, if he wakes up and he doesn't know who he is, tell him he's Wayne Gretzky.
That's funny.
That's a great line.
Right?
That's
Same
funny.
thing,
Well,
right?
that's kind of it. It's like you're not turning, these guys into
We've
different
watched
humans.
It. It's not like they're 21 years old. They've been in the NHL for 9-10 years.
Yeah. To Treliving's credit, one thing I really like that he said in that press conference is he said, I was here last year when we lost in Game 7. I was here this year when we lost in Game 7 in the second round. And I know everything that happened before. He was like, I'm aware of everything that came before me.
Yes.
And for the first time, I was like, yes.
That was very refreshing to
You
hear.
have to know the journey.
Yes.
You have to
But
understand.
he's got a portion of the journey now. He's part of it now. He is.
Yes.
He got christened.
Yeah.
Right? He
Like
got christened.
a boat with a bomb over the head.
He is now part of what Leaf fans have experienced under Brendan Shanahan for 11 years.
Yeah.
Right? So he got a piece of it. So again, the DNA part for me is so tied into everything else that was questioned in these playoffs. And I'll tell you the one thing that bothered me the most this round too, and people can sit there and say, okay, they're better than Carolina. They would have shown better than Carolina. They came within a game. But it all kind of gets lumped into the last 11 years for me when the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs stands up there and explains to everybody why they lost is because they had passengers. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that was like really bad.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Really bad.
Totally. I feel in this market under-discussed.
That,
quite frankly.
that is also DNA right there. Mm-hmm. That Austin Matthews said we had too many passengers.
Yeah.
And I don't know between either the media talking to the players or Austin, or if anybody followed it up with Keith Pelly in his press conference, or maybe I was in between shots and I missed it.
There was no.
Was it ever brought up to Brad Treliving today as one of those questions of your captain said at the most critical time, and you did talk about critical moments, but at the most critical time, your team had passengers. Mm-hmm. Brad, how does that make you feel as a general manager when you hear your best player, your highest paid player, tell the fans and the media that at the most critical time, you guys had passengers?
You know what I think is tough there, Kip, is obviously I didn't like that either. To me, he's trying to say too many guys played bad. We talked about, we had the Oilers, Gregor on yesterday talking about the Oilers, but they did, Kip. They did. Too many guys played bad.
Of course they did.
But we talked about the Oilers yesterday. Troy Stetcher's excellent, and Kulak is fantastic. And you go through the list, everyone is playing good. And I think he doesn't think he played good, but I think it's fair to be like, none of us played good. So, maybe it's a phrasing. Yeah.
But nobody really said it.
Yeah.
Nobody says it.
That's to me what passengers are. No one.
But then just say
drove the
it.
bus. Yeah,
just say it.
Yeah.
We didn't play
Dumb hockey
well.
cliché
We
stuff.
weren't good enough. We didn't play well.
Yeah.
Well, it goes to a lot of what's wrong with that. Like, that comment is just like, feels like to me that when Matthews and Marner specifically address the media, they're both just trying to say whatever they can possibly say to get it done over with as fast as possible.
That has to change.
Without saying anything meaningful ever.
You can't.
And they just are like, mumble mouth, passengers, blah, blah, blah. We got to be better, this or that. Like, it's just like they're trying to get
can't
quick.
do it in this market.
I totally agree. But they've been doing it for 9 years.
It's possible they're quite bad at self-reflection.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Like, it's not a skill they have.
yeah. Anyways.
Okay, but like that starts at the top.
Yeah.
Does it not?
Do you mean player top?
No, I'm talking about like just it's an organizational thing.
They need to grab them and be like, hey,
Just-
you guys are responsible.
They my suggestion would just be a little bit more honest.
Mhm.
It would actually go a long way.
I actually think if you talk more and you're more honest, it's less shocking and people pick through what you said less often.
We know they're not superhuman. It's a very difficult thing. Like I said earlier this week, only one team gets to stand there and claim that they're champions, and then 31 others go, where did we go wrong? Mm-hmm. It's not easy, but you got to humanize it a little bit more.
Yeah, totally agree. And I've been saying that since the start. Like, it just
it's hard. It's hard. We're picking horses here. It's hard.
But I mean, for any of them to come out at media day and be like, hey, we really understand how upset our fans are about this, and we're sorry we couldn't get it done this time. You know how far that would go?
Did you see Eric Tulsky's tweets today, perchance?
No.
GM of the Carolina Hurricanes?
No.
It's like a 6-part tweet about their fans and about that's what it's all for and how much they appreciate them and how much effort and how much it burns. And
they don't take it for granted.
Right. It's a different market.
They don't take it for granted.
But they don't take it for granted.
Well, the thing is, it's like here, they all know, like every Keith Pelly and everybody at MLSC, they all know that it'll be sold out. And I'm sure people will be dying to buy tickets, all that stuff.
Yeah.
There, it's not given.
No, you're right.
So
yeah, there's definitely more incentive to work on that angle.
That's the part, though, I think
they need to take a page
Keith
out of that
Pelly
book.
in his press conference talked about it.
He did.
The message needs to be a little bit, I don't know if it's clear, but less taking it for granted, as you put, Sammy.
Yeah.
So we do have the clip on contract offers for Mitch and Tavares.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that was a hot button topic, right, Marner?
It's got to be. Do you want to start with just Marner on clip 4? Let's just do Marner to start. Clip 4.
We're in that process right now. I had a meeting with all the players individually. We do our exit meetings. Mitch and I had a discussion. It's emotional right now, right? And so my discussion with Mitch is let's all take a step back. Let's take a deep breath. I got to decompress a little bit. We probably got delayed. That's not the word. With Brendan's situation, that was a bit of a curveball that it took a couple days here to kind of get through. So we're going to meet as a staff. I'm going to be in touch with Mitch's representative and all of our players' representative, and determine what's best. Right now, Mitch has a say in this as well. Right. So this isn't the world according to Brad. I think he's a great player. He's been a great player here. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how this all works. Can I think Mitch can succeed? Yes, I do. But as I said before, we've all got to kind of take a step back and look at, we can't be rigid in our thought process of saying we can only do something one way. And like I said, he's got a say in the process. So again, another wordy answer to say we'll see. And same thing with John. And really all of our UFAs, right? Really good players. I'm a huge John Tavares fan. Had a really good discussion with him. We gotta take a step back, meet with our group. How do we best move forward? What are the costs? What is all those things that go into a contract and everything else? And how does it fit within the puzzle? So we'll see how that happens over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything more, anything less. He's protecting himself. He's not tipping his hand. He's not sitting there going, we really want him back. We really want him back. I mean, he's not setting himself up either way. So whatever happens, it's as if he was prepared for it.
If you did want him back, Kip, and you went out there and said, we really want him back, that'd be pretty bad negotiating. That's not I don't think you want to go out in the media and say you really want him back if you were trying to negotiate.
The negotiating part, people are making way too big.
What do you mean?
Of it. Negotiating's not hard. The negotiation would be the easiest thing to do out of anything. The hard part is telling Mitch Marner or getting Mitch Marner to want to stay. That's the hard part, okay? And say what you will about how anyone has read the tea leaves between Mitch Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs. As of yesterday, as of today, I don't know. But over the course of the season, it's been simply about a guy who, at this point, does not want to return to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. We've had this conversation over the past 4 years. Free agents don't wake up after the season is over and go, gee, where do I want to play? John Tavares made up his mind long before his season was over with the New York Islanders. UFAs have a pretty good idea all season long whether they're going to move or stay. Not many of them go the distance. They get re-signed. Tavares didn't. He moved on. Mitch hasn't. In all probability, he will move on. Yeah. It's not the negotiation, Sam. It's just going. Do the Leafs want to go back to him and say, listen, I know up until now you have not wanted to sign here, but whatever, we'll fix it. We'll make it better. We'll put you in a position to help win. And that's not to completely take him off the hook and say, hey, Mitch, by the way, score some more points in the playoffs. You and your buddies here, Austin and Willie and Morgan, be better. We need you better. That's not to say that can't happen either, have that conversation. But Mitch doesn't want to sign here. Mm-hmm. Hey, just as of today, he doesn't want to. What, do you have a month to change his mind? That's the tricky part that they got to find out. How far do they want to go to him and say, Mitch, come on, man, we really want you back here. What's the problem? What can we do to fix it?
Well, I mean, it's one thing to say, now the negotiation doesn't matter. Hasn't felt like that throughout the year, but it's nice to know that we're there now, if that is in fact the case. Could you imagine what a simpering, sad organization you would be is after the way this has gone the whole time, here's what we'll do for you. Here's what we can do to make this. It's just, to me, it's like a relationship. Your buddy gets together and breaks up and gets together and breaks up with a girl enough times. And you're like, it doesn't work. She's not that into you.
Or it can work, but I need to change.
Yeah, but people don't change.
No, people do change.
People can change.
People do change.
I used to
People
be.
do change.
I used to be a piece
or
of
you
crap.
lose somebody every once in a while.
Yeah. I just, to me, Kip, it's like, he doesn't want to be here. Then it can't work. You're not going to change someone's mind with 3 phone calls and we're going to get you a better chef or a cooler line mate. Like,
See, I worry about that for the Leafs. And you can sit there and say it's just Mitch.
Yeah.
But here's a hometown guy who is the greatest hometown player in Maple Leaf history. Fastest to score 700 points. And you can't get him to stay here.
But this only comes up when it's time for him to get his. Like, Tavares is like falling all over himself to give money back. When he was doing his last contract, he wasn't giving money back to be in Toronto. It wasn't about that.
But this isn't about the money for Mitch. It was never about the money. And people thought it was about the money. Oh, he's just holding out for 13
about the
13 and a half.
B bonuses 10 years later.
It's about respect, is what he said.
But it's about
that people have never thought that he's as good as Matthews.
But if you're so hurt, the damage is done. Yeah. You're not fixing it.
See, I hate that. I hate that because
what are they going to offer him that's going to change him?
I don't know. It's whatever issues he has, address them with him. I don't know what they are.
But it's just
not about money.
Yeah.
And listen, if they had issues with him, then like they should have tried to trade him a long time ago. You could have moved him. You could have said, listen, we're not
had a new GM.
You could have put the reverse of, and Treliving's had this experience with Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah. Matthew Tkachuk goes, I'm not signing here. You better move me. And he did.
But did Marner say that to him last
No,
summer?
I'm saying that Brad, if they didn't want him back,
they could have said, if you're not signing,
we're not signing you. We're not signing you. You can stay, but we are not going to sign you. Give us 4 teams. Give us a wish list. We'll try to move you. Yeah. We're not we can get 2 first-rounders and a prospect for you.
Do you think it's the best thing for the Leafs for him to come back?
I think there's a world where he can come back. They just can't all come back together.
You know the situations where I could see it? If you could get Morgan to waive his no trade and you didn't re-sign Tavares, I'd be down. You have to make those are fundamental core pieces. But
I'm not coming back next year. I'm taking Morgan out of the equation. I'm not coming back here with Marner, Matthews, Nylander, or Tavares. One or 2 of them have to go for Mitch to stay.
To me, it's for Mitch to stay. Yeah. It needs to be Tavares and Riley. Like, you need a fundamental change here.
But
now we're talking DNA, boys.
No.
Change your DNA.
You want DNA? Mitch stays, and I get rid of either Matthews or Nylander.
Yeah, not doing that.
They're not going to do that. No. But to me, that is a major change.
That's DNA, baby.
That's DNA.
That is DNA.
Right?
That's absolutely DNA.
Yeah.
But he may pull a Rantanen and sign for $12 million in some state tax city and move on. And everybody's
Vegas?
The one thing I'm confident of with Marner, wherever he signs, it's going to hurt the Leafs. I don't think he's going to go quietly to Utah and they'll be okay. Or he's going to go quietly and go play for, who's the other team here sometimes? Chicago. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. It'll be Florida.
Florida?
Yeah.
Or it'll be a contending team.
Yeah,
Florida?
Buddy, they're losing Bennett Neckblad. They're going to have a pile of money.
Can you imagine?
Yes, I can.
That the Leafs signed Sam Bennett and the Florida Panthers signed Mitch Marner, and then the Florida Panthers beat the Leafs with Mitch Marner in the lineup playing great and Sam Bennett playing like crap. That would be the Leafiest outcome.
I just want to go back to my original question. And this isn't about Mitch Marner per se.
Okay.
But this is about an organization to go, okay, we just can't have guys leaving and wanting to leave here. Maybe we got to look in the mirror and say, what did we do? What can we do better? Mm-hmm. Part of the culture. Mitch doesn't like the culture here. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's another reason why he wants to leave.
He's been a big part of setting it. He's a captain. I
know.
He's been here for 9 years.
Yeah, he's a huge part of the culture.
But it starts from up top. And if he had issues, did he address them in time? Did the Leafs find out only when it was too late? Mm. I just think there has to be more of a reflection on ownership, management, the people that have been in charge the last 11 years to say, did we give them the best chance to win?
Yeah.
That's all.
I don't think that this core really likes each other. Like, I don't think that Matthews and Marner and Nylander and
they're not tight.
No, I don't think
because they don't play tight.
No, I don't think that they really love each other. I think if you're Matthews, you'd probably prefer, even if he thinks John Tavares is a great guy, to not have the old captain like supervising your new captainly. Like, I do think that part of them is kind of hoping that something happens here where it's very different in the dressing room and the culture changes. I don't know that there's good vibes and positive memories and happy times. It's like some relationships just too far gone.
But it really started, right back to the B bonuses. Why did he get his? I want mine. Oh, he didn't sign a max contract. I don't have to sign a max contract. We gave you the money. We gave you the term you wanted. You had everything you wanted. And yet it appears like nobody's happy.
Mm-hmm. It does appear that way.
Yeah, just like me talking with the Leafs, not happy at all times. This is just a Leafs hour exclusive here, but I just see these other teams that just like go out and it's just quiet. Like everybody's at Winnipeg, they're like, oh yeah. It's like no one's like, blow them up, get rid of everybody. It's like, it's just, they just get to go out quietly out there. It's talked about a little bit in their market. We haven't mentioned them since they went out. Like, are we Jets talk? RIP. It's gone. No more Jets talk. And it's just like every other market, they just go out quietly and it's here. President's got to go. Star hometown players got to go. Everybody's got to go. It's so frustrating being part of this sometimes. And listen, I'm right in the heart of it. I understand it, but it's just like, God, it's tiring. It is.
Yeah, maybe we're just not close enough to those markets. Maybe it's happening somewhere.
Sure, I'm sure they talk about it in Winnipeg. I'm sure they talk about Winnipeg once in a while.
Yeah.
But
maybe.
Nationally, it's not the same thing.
Matthew Nyes?
We should probably go.
All right. You're the producer.
We got to hit a break. We got to call Luke, so.
Well, ask him about Matthew Nyes. How about that?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yep. You got any announcements or anything?
No, let her rip.
All right. Luke Fox, NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca, regular contributor on our show, will join us. And then in the next hour, also Craig Simpson, Stanley Cup champion, Hockey Night in Canada, will help us tee up Dallas. Still got a shot, you think?
The Hyman injury hurts quite a bit.
Okay.
So
plenty.
I'm not going to say none.
Plenty more on the Real Kyper and Bourne show on our special Leaf Hour edition. Back after these words. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Let's welcome in Luke Fox, Leaf and NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca. He followed Brad Treliving's media address today. He spoke for the first time since May 18th. The Leafs were eliminated. Luke, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Between Game 7, I guess, and today, it's 11 days. So certainly a lot of time to let a lot of things settled here. Do you think it helped set the tone for Brad Treliving today, those 11 days off?
Yeah, because it's kind of a funny timing. I can't remember when a GM spoke after the next round was already over. But, it's far enough away from the pain of Game 7 that the emotions have passed. So he's not saying anything emotional when he takes the podium. And it's still far enough away from free agency where he can say, well, we're just starting to go through our process. We're meeting with our pro scouts. We're going to sit down and develop a plan. So it's kind of in that in-between stage. So he spoke because he did a scrum afterwards, he spoke for about 50 minutes. A lot of words were said. I don't know how much we learned. I think kind of the biggest thing I took away is some of the things he wasn't saying. Like, he wasn't saying we got to keep banging at the door. We got to betting on these guys. I think Tavares and Marner are so tremendous that I'm going to do everything in my power to keep them here. He didn't say anything like that. He wouldn't even guarantee that he would offer them an extension on paper. And part of that, I think, is the accumulated losses, 9 years now. And part of it is he only has so much say in the matter. Tavares and Marner have earned the right to take a little peek behind the curtain now.
Yeah, absolutely. Listening to that press conference today, it did feel like in the end, it was just kind of about a couple of guys, right? And I guess your thoughts on his tone today. Like, we talked a little bit on our show about not hearing a ton about culture or leadership necessarily. What were your thoughts on his tone of the day?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, It was pretty even. I like that he admitted that something in the DNA has to change. I like that he was specific in terms of Game 5 against the Senators. We seem to have forgotten that one. That was a missed opportunity because in the end they got it done in 6, so you kind of give Game 5 a pass. But I like how he brought that up and the fact that they basically laid an egg in that game at home. I like the fact that he pointed to Game 3. They're up 2-0 and 3-1, have a chance to take a stranglehold. And then, of course, everyone felt Game 5 and Game 7. So I like how he singled out those moments. And the fact that there wasn't just one moment. You can't just sweep it under the rug and say, well, we didn't have it that night. No, there were multiple times where you had a chance to show the fan base and show the front office, show the decision makers, show Treliving that you have it within you to come through when the pressure's at its highest, when you have a chance to finish a team off, really put your boots to the opposition. And multiple times you didn't come through. So for him to say, oh, no, we'll learn from those scars, he didn't say that. He said we have to change the DNA of our team. And that may seem a little vague, but I don't think it's vague. I think it has to do with personnel.
The sense is right now with Brendan Shanahan gone, Luke, and no replacement for Brendan, that as big as of a staff that the Maple Leafs have in the various departments, it's really feels like it's coming down to two guys carrying the weight of what happens next with the Leafs in just Brad Treliving and Craig Berube. Is that the sense that you got today? Yeah,
for sure. And I got it from Pelly's conference last week too. It was really interesting how much the CEO was talking about the head coach and how he liked the culture Berube set and that he's going to really lean on Berube's counsel in addition to Treliving's. It's rare to hear, someone that high, that close to ownership talk so much directly about how much he wants the head coach involved. And maybe that's a function of Pelly being a bit of a soccer guy and over in Europe, the head coach has maybe a little bit more sway than maybe the NHL. But now there's a direct line. And today it was interesting kind of Treliving saying, I'm still got to develop that relationship because, I'm sure he had a nice, friendly relationship with Pelly, but most of his conversations would be through Shanahan and then down to Berube. He probably wasn't working directly with Pelly all that much. And now that's his direct boss, a guy who didn't hire him. And Treliving's on the clock here, right? He only has 2 more years left on his contract, and he's in a really tight spot. He's probably going to let his highest scorer, a guy who put up 102 points in the regular season, walk out the door for nothing. Maybe you can pull a Jake Gensel and salvage a 3rd-round pick or something. But then you got to somehow make up all that scoring by committee. And in a pretty thin free agent class, when you've spent kind of some of your best trade chips already, talking to scouts, they kind of say Easton Cowan would be better served having a year with the Marlies and not jumping right up with the big boys. So he's in a really tight summer, and all of a sudden, all eyes are on him, just the way they were on Shanahan last season and Dubas the year before that.
It's funny. It doesn't take long around here, particularly when heartbreaking losses accumulate. Away from those couple of guys that we talked the most about, I did get the sense that he wanted a defenseman that can move the puck up the ice a little bit more. He talked a little bit more about volume coming from the back end, and he also talked about Matthew Knies. Give us your thoughts on the non-Marner and the non-Tavares conversations that Treliving had today.
Yeah, I'll start with Knies, and he was very definitive in that I want this guy as soon as possible.
Yeah,
and he used the old joke, and I've heard him say it before. The only 2 issues are money and term. But talking with Knies all season long, like the guy loves it here. He is, for the youngest guy on the team, he's like this close for me to wearing a letter. I love that Florida game. Yeah. When right in the regular season, when he called them out for being soft, and then the very next game in Tampa Bay, he was the best player on the ice. Like, I love that 2-game segment for Matthew Knies. I was like, this guy is one of the most mature guys on the whole team. He's willing to call it like it is, and then he's willing to go out and back his words up. So when I talk to him and he talks about his love for Toronto, and he scoffed at a reporter's question about an offer sheet, I have no doubt they're going to get something done. I think the big question is what works best is bridge or long term, and I think that will be impacted by who they chase in free agency, but they'll make it work. I wouldn't worry about Knies. The defense is fascinating, Bourne, because they have 7 NHL-level guys under contract already, if you include Philip Myers. And their defense was pretty good. But their defense is getting older. And it's funny, it's now become a little bit one note. There's a lot of toughness, a lot of size, a lot of guys willing to block shots. But, they're not generating. You're not seeing guys. You don't see a Thomas Harley. You don't see a Evan Bouchard. And Morgan Rielly lost a step. And I don't know if there's reason to believe he's going to find that step over the summer. So it is an area that Treliving's going to look at, and he admitted to that. I just think there's so many holes up front that forward has to be the priority because they're losing bodies.
Morgan Rielly has years left on his contract. He's also got a no move. Is there a sense that one of them may be moving that may have a no move clause or will have been asked by training camp?
It's a great question. I don't know the answer. All I know is that history tells us that the Maple Leafs don't make it that uncomfortable. And these guys, once they have their trade protection, they ride it out. And I believe Rielly loves it here. Now, if you can present a scenario where work with the player, where he's going someplace where he feels maybe he gets a fresh start, I think it's worth exploring. But right now, last we talked to Morgan, he was like, oh, I'm not even thinking about that right now. Him and Tessa just recently bought a home. It might be a year old, might not even be. Like, he's just kind of settling roots, just had a baby less than a year ago. So I think it would be a tricky ask.
It's a tricky ask. I love those. It's a great defense system to getting traded, eh? We really put down roots. We got a school picked. As they head in towards next season, if they do lose Marner, let's say, and Tavares, what do you expect here? How optimistic are you? Do you think it's Sam Bennett and change? I don't even know what to think they would do given what's available as UFAs.
Yeah, there's not much. And the guys who are out there are going to get paid. Like, every team now has more cap space. Like, it feels like someone's going to overpay for Nikolai Ehlers. Someone's going to back up a Brinks truck at Brock Besser's house. Like, these guys are going to get paid. Brock Nelson is going to get paid like a 2C when on a real contender, he's probably a 3C. No offense to the player. I just think, he's kind of starting the downside of his prime. And Sam Bennett, like $8 million, I don't know. And Florida wants to keep him. Is he going to do the Sam Reinhart where he could have got a higher AAV if he put himself out to market? Or right after a parade, does he say, yeah, it's pretty good. I get to wear flip-flops and we win championships. Maybe I'll just stay here.
Right.
So the options are really slim. I am very worried about their center depth. I thought Tavares got overmatched in the Florida series, as great as his regular season was. And now he's going to be a year older. He can still produce. He can still help a power play. But do you have a 1-2-3 up the middle that can win a cup? And you're looking at the free agent options. It's really tough. So I think he's going to have to get creative. And when I say that, maybe that means talking to guys about waiving no moves. Maybe that means some trades and not just free agency.
Going to be fascinating to watch. Luke, as always, thanks for your regular contributions on our show all season, man.
Appreciate you, bud.
All right. You guys had a great season. Keep it rolling till the end of the cup, I guess, right?
Oh, you got it. Yeah. Luke Fox, everybody.
Thanks,
NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca. See, again, Brad Treliving wakes up today with the potential of 175 points out of his lineup. How do you replace them? The defense is solid with the contract still there, but none of them have the feeling that they could have a great year and produce 70 points next year for you.
No.
So that's missing. And then you got to ask yourself, between Stolarz and Joseph Wall, are you going to get the same goaltending next year as you got this year? Is that a given now? That, like, how many games did Stolarz flat out steal for the Leafs this year? How many points did he add to the Leafs?
20.
It's a huge number.
It's funny because he talked about how the way they play lends itself to that, to giving up a lot of volume.
But it didn't look so good in Game 5 and Game 7 when you needed it most.
Well, he wasn't playing because Sam Bennett took him out, like he tried to do with Frederick.
Thanks, Tips. I forgot that.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. So is it a given that they're going to get the same type of goaltending? Like, when you factor in all these things that I just mentioned, is it a given that they'll make the playoffs next year?
It's not a given. Nothing's a given. No, it's not. But it's also, you've tried it one way a lot. And I do want to push back on the idea. Everyone keeps saying 175 points. You're not trying to replace 175 points. Tavares isn't getting 75 points next year, I don't think. And we're not talking about the guys that whoever you bring in with, how much is that combined salary? $22 million? How many points are they going to get? Is it 150? It's...
Don't know. It could be less.
It could be less. It could be less. For sure it could be. But,
even if you sign Tavares, you're still, to your point, you're not maybe getting 75. He's a year older. He's maybe a little slower. Maybe he's down to 58.
And people are talking about, we'll give him the Tanev thing to get more or lower AAV, so you're going to give him years. It's like, stop.
Stop it.
Okay.
Save it.
All right, Sammy.
Yeah.
There's your Leaf Hour.
Great. So happy we did that. I feel so awesome.
You feel a lot better?
Oh, totally.
You're jacked for training camp.
You're free, Sam.
All right. We go national next. Talk about Florida. Talk about Dallas.
Sick Jays jersey giveaway this weekend. Gotta go.
All right, let's get her going here on the National Hour. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. In a few minutes, we'll grab Ed Jovanovski, former NHL defenseman, covers the Panthers as a TV analyst. See, he's got it easy.
Jovo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're just covering a team that has 10 different ways to beat another hockey club up.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, they win games,
Doesn't
they beat
have to
people
be-
up, then he goes golfing.
Doesn't have to be critical. Doesn't have to, like us every day with the Leafs.
I'm trying to find a Bill Zito quote from today, which is basically that his job is hanging out with Hall of Famers and eating 5-star meals. It's like, that's
Dude.
great, guys. Glad you're having fun down there.
Yeah, 6 straight years a Florida team has been to the Stanley Cup Final, boys.
That's awesome.
So
Gary's dreamland.
I got a text from Irv up in Collingwood. Kyper, I can't believe you drank a 25-year-old Coke that I had bottled for the All-Star game.
Come on.
Yep.
Is that where it came from?
Yep.
So if you didn't hear us in our first hour, Kip brought 25-year-old glass bottles of cola today, Coca-Cola, and drank one.
Yes.
It's
I had
not
to get him out of the
good.
house. I brought him
It's
here.
not good.
And I was thirsty.
Here's
I
what-
don't drink soda. I don't drink a lot of soda, but I had a craving for this.
Here's what I don't get. Since
Yeah.
we've done this show, you moved. You had to physically move the cola bottles from home to home.
I put it in storage for 3 years. And then we're like, I'm not paying for storage anymore.
He stored Coca-Cola.
We stored Coca-Cola bottles.
I believe there was a show on TLC about this sort of thing.
Someone buys his storage shed. It's like, there's nothing
And I
about
brought
in here.
Wayne Gretzky jersey.
Messier's autographed elbow pads.
I brought them downstairs to our new house in the basement. And my wife's like, get those out of here.
Yeah.
And I had nowhere to
Yes.
take
Yeah,
them.
she knows. Good thing you have her in
Smart.
your life. My God.
Mind-boggling, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is. Oh, okay. We're going to tee up, obviously, Dallas and Edmonton for sure, but let's put a bow on, and we'll get Ed Jovo momentarily. But, boys, come on. Like, Florida Panthers, they just keep getting better.
You don't want to talk about handshakes?
Go handshakes. Go anywhere you want.
No, quick. Well, just 3 years in a row for Florida Panthers. It's pretty incredible. You know, the core still there through the whole thing. I don't know.
Okay.
And last night is the anti. We've been talking about the Leafs for an hour, so pardon my Leafs bragging, but they're the anti-Leafs last night. They fall down 2-0 in that game. They're
On the road.
They are no good for the first half of that game. Turnovers. Bobrovsky lets in softies. They immediately get one back, and they just
Stay in the fight. That Barkov goal. So we've had a conversation on the show that I think Matthew's not that far behind Barkov or whatever. Didn't help me.
He wore old Orlov like a backpack and then puts it out front of Verhage.
And Robinson was it?
Yeah.
Thought he was going behind the net, and then he dished it goal line flat. It's like 7 minutes left to clinch the series.
And just Verhage, like, the puck landed on a guy's stick in the slot more in big spots.
He's kind of
ever
Justin
than-
Williams.
It's unbelievable.
He's new Justin Williams.
All right, let's go to Ed Jovanovski, who covers the Panthers on a regular basis, regular contributor to our show. Jovo, thanks for joining us. You know, I was just telling the guys, man, you know, I'm so jealous of you just following this team out. It's the easiest gig in the world. You're stealing money, Jovo. Stealing money, talking about constantly how good these guys are.
Yeah, you got to take it when you can, right? And I really appreciate the guys continuing this, so we continue to work. But you're right, Kyper. I mean, it has been a treat, especially obviously the last few years, and now we're on our third consecutive trip to the Stanley Cup Final. You know, just to see the growth of this team, the change over the team, and to continue to do it, it's been special. What a game last night!
Yeah, that kind of embodied the Panthers a little bit. So, how much of it, like the reputation of the Panthers just being so physical and the way that they play, are they very different than the team that went there the first time they went to the Stanley Cup Final, or is it still the same thing?
I think it's the same thing. It's the same system. I think when Mo came in here, obviously, you know, we discussed this before about, you know, if you're going to make advances, you know, in the playoffs, you got to play tight defensively and be defensive minded. And take care of your own end and all that kind of thing. And I think for the physical part of the game, you see it. I mean, sometimes, the team will play that run and gun style, but they'll mix it up whatever they can. I think, and physically, I think if it's going to go the duration of a series, you see how teams, kind of wear down, because they do have kind of that repetitive kind of get the puck in, good on the forecheck, banging bodies, defensemen continually keeping plays alive, in on the play, in on the cycle. And you can see it last night too, when they did have Carolina hemmed in, man, they're something to watch, and they're very tough to contain, and they're getting a lot of opportunities, from that aggressive play. We say aggressive, I also mean responsible defensively. For the most part, you have that third guy high. He's tracking back. He's really allowing everybody to kind of get involved, knowing that there is some cover up there.
Matthew Tkachuk's gone on record and talked about just the thought process of just, we're going to pound you to the ground. We don't know when it's going to kick in, but it could kick in Game 6, Game 7, or Game 7 of overtime, but we're going to get you. And it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to actually believe in it. Mm-hmm. And then once you believe in it, it's almost as if it's contagious, because it just goes through the whole lineup. Like, guys get braver around certain guys. And to me, it's right through the lineup, Jovo.
Helps Seth Jones, I think.
Yeah, it is, Kipper. And I think when your top guys are doing it, there's no reason that it doesn't kind of just trickle down through your whole lineup. And whether it's, Matthew, for example, is getting it. Yeah, he's been close to point a game, kind of in the playoffs, but it ain't going, offensively. He's always touching the game in a different way. And that's that sandpaper you talk about, whether it's being good along the boards, being that net front presence, driving defensemen back. I think this team is kind of adapted to a style that tough to explain, where you just love watching it. I mean, how many times have I heard kind of around the block, or whatever the case may be, how fun this team is to watch, and they're vicious, and they're like dogs, and this the way they go out there and relentless and work off each other. They really embody that team aspect, and it clearly shows as these playoffs move along.
You know what always catches my eye? So we're obviously in Toronto, and we've already moved on to talking about, like off-season stuff. So Sam Bennett's name comes up all the time. When I look at his stats and the way he plays, it's funny. Like 50 points, I think, is his career high. He plays 16 and a half minutes per night in the playoffs right now for Florida, yet he has such an incredible impact. How is he so important to this team without playing huge minutes?
Well, I think he's just so involved in everything, when he's on the ice. And we talk about kind of getting to those tough areas with Sam. He's not shy getting to those tough areas, and he gets rewarded a lot of the time. And said he's not a huge numbers guy, but he's so effective when he was on the ice, and he's got some wheels when he comes through the neutral zone. He can make some nifty plays. If you got your head down, he's gonna light you up. And he's scoring some big goals. And I think when you look at a team and you want to build a group, I mean, he's your second line center behind Barkov. It's pretty 1-2, and you go down to Lundell, and then, you go to Nosek down there, whoever is kind of these, guys that are just playing very tough. But I think Sam Bennett embodies, what it takes to win a hockey game. And I think when you look at that group, and we talk about Matthew and Benny's no different. I mean, the guy just does not give up, and he's going to get to that spot. He's going to do whatever it takes to get there. And boy, they're having fun doing it too. They're always smiling, they're working, and it's been fun to watch.
You're watching and listening to Ed Jovanovski, former NHL defenseman, covering the Panthers all season long. Jovo, is this team better than the one that won the Stanley Cup last season?
Did you guys hear Matthew's interview last night after?
No.
He said that if we had the same group, we probably wouldn't be here today. And I thought that was really interesting, because you're losing your buddies, and you have that turnover, and and you have new guys in the system. But what it does, it brings that hunger to your group. And yeah, I mean, guys move on, guys are getting paid, and you got to make changes. But the guys that Bill Zito brought in fit the mold, and you got the hunger. And his words were yesterday, yeah, we're excited being in this position, having another opportunity to win, but we're more excited for the guys that are brought into the fold. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was just a true leader, the way he speaks. Let these guys experience this and have an opportunity to win with a handful of other guys.
You know, Jovo, I want to follow that up with you because you're a defenseman in the National Hockey League that played over 1,100 games. Do you have an appreciation from watching a guy like Seth Jones struggle the last little while in Chicago, being told you're not worth $9 million or you can't play anymore or the game's moved off on you, and then you put him in this environment and you see a guy thrive? Like, what kind of, like, there should be about 31 other teams taking notice of that.
Right. He's underpaid now. Yeah, I think, it's tough because, you get locked into these situations, and nothing against Chicago and, of late where he was. I mean, you're a rebuilding group and you just kind of get this losing mentality, and I don't know if you become okay with it. I know guys just, they'll get pissed and win. You're losing a lot of hockey games. And I think for Seth, playing a lot of minutes, being a lot of key situations in Chicago, yeah, you're on the ice a lot, but you're out there with a lot of younger players that can make young mistakes. I think now you bring into a system where you're so well coached, the systems are letter tight, that he just has to be Seth Jones. And you watch him, get the puck when he has the room to skate. He's lugging the mail. If not, he's moving the puck, to the forwards. And the forwards are getting into a zone where you're going to create some offensive ability, which no one's telling the defenseman to stop jumping up in the play. I mean, that's kind of a staple around the league. Florida does it very well, where you're adding that fourth and fifth guy. But guys, I tell you what, man, when you have that size and skate like that and cover a lot of ice, and this group is big, and to win in the Stanley Cup, you look at your back end, you got to be heavy. These guys play big minutes, they lean on you. So as you get in the latter part of a series, yeah, you wear down these players, and he's been exceptional since he's been here. Maybe a little bit of a slow start. We can say the same about Marchie when he came here, but once the puck dropped for the playoffs, they all been special.
What do you make of Carolina? That's a lot of people thought maybe they'd give Florida a better push. What did you see out of the Canes?
Well, early on, you can't really see it was kind of a different team. I think you didn't expect that before the series started. I thought there's going to be a really tight series, just like there was, the last one with them. Could have gone either way. Florida just fortuitous on a couple of breaks that they end up winning these overtime ones. But I think it's more realistic of what we saw in Game 4 and Game 5 of Carolina. Very good along the boards, heavy, some playmaking skills. But when you look at that group and you just see kind of how, look at last game, Florida obviously not the start. But once they found their footing, it was just like boom, boom, boom. Florida Panther hockey, and you felt the nervousness on the other side, but Florida really didn't give an opportunity to have the puck.
Right.
They kept possession a lot of the time, and that's when Florida becomes really dangerous, is when there is no turnovers and the puck's going north, and now you're getting in the offensive zone and spending less time in your D zone by good advancement by the D.
Jovo, how important was it that it ended last night? We don't know when the Stanley Cup Final is going to begin, depending on Dallas, of course, and Edmonton, but it could go as late as, I think, June 7th, if I'm not mistaken. But how important is resting for a week, because a few guys banged up, including Luosterainen last night, leaving the game. But, how healthy or not healthy are the Florida Panthers, and how important is 1 week off?
Well, you've been all the way, Kyper. I mean, how many teammates are banged up at this point. I think, as we know, there's a few guys that got injected back in the lineup yesterday. I'm sure those guys probably a welcome, handful of days to kind of reset and get the bodies right. I'm hearing that if it ends, and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, that if it does end tonight, that the series starts June 4th, if not June 2nd.
Correct.
Yeah, so there's some time in there. Well-deserved break. I'm sure they'll take a couple days here. Find out if they're going to face the Oilers again or have it kind of go on to another game. But anytime, as they say, rest is a weapon.
How is Brad Marchand fitting in as a deadline acquisition?
Oh, he's been great. And you see all the, he's having fun with it now too. I think for him, another opportunity, another, Stanley Cup, finals for him. But he's been really good, especially with the Finns. I mean, that line has been really good, as you saw, you guys, with the Toronto series, just kind of getting that chemistry, but really having fun, really kind of, enjoying his teammates, and you can see him at the end of games enjoying this whole rat thing and just really kind of embracing it. As you get older in your career, you take these moments for granted. I think we all know it all comes to an end at one point. And I think for him, you get another crack at it in the latter part of your career. Although I do think, the guy can keep on playing and be a very effective player. But he's really enjoying his time here. And I know the organization, the fans especially, really enjoy him being here.
Jovo, one more for me, and that's around Aaron Ekblad, Brooks Koepka's favorite hockey player. That was really weird, by the way, that whole thing, because Aaron Ekblad's really, really good. And I think he's just getting better and better, and he's a UFA. And I don't know, man, if I'm probably 25 other teams right now thinking I'm close to winning, I'd want to sign this guy. Just how important is he to the Florida Panthers?
Well, really important, playing all the tough minutes, plays with Forsey, plays mid-20s most every night. And, I'd play in a defenseman at some point in your career. I think you kind of turn a little bit and you pay attention to that defensive style game and you mold your game into that. And I think that's exactly what Aaron has done. He draws these tough assignments. He's not the flash and dash guy, but he's getting the puck through on the point. Anytime you have the opportunity to lug the mail, he's doing so. He's gets back quick into the zone and got great chemistry with Forsling. But he's just one of those players that's been here from day one, right? So he's got a lot of years here in Florida. So you like to see him first off win another Stanley Cup, and then possibility of staying here, which I hope it will get done for him in the organization. But he's a good kid from my hometown. I know him well. Just wants to win, go out there and play hard, and he's on a nice little run. Especially when he was gone, you can see it. Might not notice it early on, but as though that suspension time went on, you can start noticing that when you have him out of the lineup, you're kind of a different group.
So if you got a couple of rounds in with Brooks Koepka at all down there?
Yeah, we actually all play together. Him and Eki are actually good buddies.
I know they are.
Oh, really?
I know they are. Hey, tell Brooks we want him on this show. We got to get him on, and we got to get his thoughts and ideas on the Stanley Cup Final minus the pylon on his head.
Yeah. Well, I'll try, Kyper.
All right, buddy. Don't go out of your way or anything. And lastly, for those of you that aren't watching on Zoom here, Jovo's got the best golf tan I've ever seen, and it's.
I thought we were interviewing Chris Chelios.
There's three boxes. There's you, and then there's Justin and I, who look like we've been dipped in flour. Not feeling real good about that.
Hey, Kyper, I got the Macedonian blood. I know you're Greek, right?
Oh yeah.
So I got that little Mediterranean in me too.
You do, my friend. You do. But, always love having you on, Jovo. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Thanks so much.
All right, anytime, guys.
Yeah. God, he's got a good life. I'm so jealous.
It's just palm fronds gently swaying in the breeze in the background.
Well, it's nice here now.
Now
it's supposed to be beautiful here this weekend. It's nice here.
Now he's.
Hey, it's been brutal.
It's coming around.
Yeah.
Now he's going to jump into the golf cart that's in his garage to go play another 18.
Yeah, tough life.
Did you guys want to do this Maurice handshake thing?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Full transparency.
Yeah.
I couldn't get through the clip.
Sam can't even stomach Paul Maurice.
But so I asked, we do have the viz. So Jake, if we could roll the viz of them shaking hands here. Yeah. So here he is lecturing Rod Brindamore.
I don't know. Do we know he's lecturing him?
Okay. And then did that look like a two-way conversation?
He's saying he's not going to shake his team's hand. If you didn't follow it up, if you didn't hear, Paul Maurice doesn't think the coaches should shake the hands of the opposing team. Whatever.
Do you want to play the clip? We have the clip.
Okay.
So this is Paul Maurice going on about it. It's over 2 minutes.
Two quick ones. It seemed like you and Rod had an animated discussion at the end of the game. Was that just about the handshake line?
Yeah, that's all it was.
Okay.
And it's a personal belief, and I really appreciate what he did because I understand the risk, that there's a bit of a risk. So the story goes like this. I don't believe that the coaches should shake players' hands at the end. There's this long list of people in suits and tracksuits. I mean, we had like 400 people on the ice. They're all really important to our group, but not one of them was in the game. There's something for me visually with the camera on.
Honestly, can we please just let it?
Stop it. You be quiet.
Hold on, we're going to
It's the
listen.
end of one season. It's excitement for the other. The last thing that a player on the Carolina Hurricanes deserves is 50 more guys in suits they have. They have no idea who they are, and that's not a negative. There should be something really kind of beautiful about just the camera on those men who played shaking hands, and we should respect that. So we talked to Craig Berube on the ice in Toronto, and I figured if I could sell it in Toronto, and he understood it because he's played, and Roddy's played, so they both kind of get it. I don't know where it changed. When I first got in the league, you would never go shake the players' hands. Some coach wanted to get on camera. It's the only thing I can figure out.
Oh,
right?
that's rich.
And there's I don't know, maybe you want to shake Wayne Gretzky's hand or something. I don't know when it changed, but I don't think it's right. I think there's a really nice, kind of beautiful part of our game when just the players shake hands at the end. When you think of all the wars, that's not the right word, all the great competitions.
God,
on the ice.
enough. Please, enough.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Enough.
Listen, I like Paul.
Oh,
I consider him
done.
a friend of mine.
good. That makes one of us.
But I couldn't finish listening to that either.
like,
It's very condescending.
do you want me to tell you what I think, why he doesn't do it, why he did that, so that he got to talk about it for 2 minutes after?
Well,
That's why he didn't do it.
You know,
Nobility
We get it. You're God's gift to hockey, Paul.
Stop it.
Okay.
There's parts of it that we really like because this is what you've asked for all these years is closer to the players and share more and put a camera in the urinal, whatever it takes. Okay. You just want to be closer to the players.
Me?
I get it.
I don't want
I get it. He's done that over the past few years. He's gotten more
brilliant. I love listening
animated.
to
He's
Paul
gotten
Maurice.
closer.
Yeah.
People have appreciated it. Personally, I'm with you. I don't need an hour special on handshake lines after an NHL hockey
See,
game.
I want that.
You want that?
I want to have that conversation. I just don't agree with this particular choice.
Okay.
Can you just get out there and shake hands?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Come on.
It's pretty easy.
Seriously.
Thanks. Good game.
6 minutes.
Good game.
6
Good game.
minutes on a handshake line. But some people want it.
Who
They're
wants that?
Oh, the nerds out there.
The nerds.
They want what?
That conversation.
There's people
dissertation?
that want to hear about handshake lines.
Yeah.
People watch the handshake line.
Yeah.
They like it because they've watched two guys kill each other for 7 games, and then they get something out of them shaking hands. I don't know.
It is one of the great traditions in sports.
It's weird, but like I couldn't care less about the handshake line.
Yeah, the coaches are in the fight too, and I think he wants us to point that out, perhaps. But you know, I'd be fine if no one in tracksuits shook hands. Here's the thing: if you felt like this before the series, you can say they can be in contact. Just so you know, our group's not going to do it after the series.
Oh God.
Right?
It's not even that important for me to mention.
But to me, it's at that moment, Brindamore, his season has just ended. Yeah. They were tied with 7 minutes left. Now you're going up to him and talking about some BS. It's like, what are you doing?
This could have been done in 10 seconds. And I'm happy to, when I talk to Paul again, I'll be the first one to tell him the same thing that I'm going to tell you right now. Okay. This is where I think Paul Maurice went wrong on this. He said, I don't believe coaches. What he should have said is,
wasn't right for me.
It's not right for me. I'm going to shake your hand right now because I don't want to go in the players' room. Yeah. And then if you have a beer or under the stands, you want to get more in specific to Rod Brendamore on why you don't
sure.
Take all the time you need. Go have beers over it. But at that moment, all he said was, I'm going to shake your hand here because I'm not going to go in the line and end it. But when he says, I don't believe coaches, you can't speak for 31 other coaches. Now he's saying something that I don't believe that you should or any of us should. And that's much different than I don't believe I should.
Agree. It's a little bit of I know best and everyone should listen to the wise old owl.
And that's the part that's driving Sammy nuts.
It's like you just beat you're in a match play and you just beat him 5-4 and you're like, God, if you really just could rotate those hips a little better, you might have a chance.
For sure.
It's like, what are you doing?
Rod is just processing the season ending and what he could have done differently. And it's like getting some lecture on, the right thing to do. I love Paul Maurice. I'm the biggest Paul Maurice fan.
I am too.
I know you
I am too.
Yeah.
And, sometimes when you're really good at getting people like Sammy to eat out of the palm of your hand, you can get carried away sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, he has been carried away. Guy's talking about shotgun and beers in church. Like, you think he is.
Buddy.
He's Mark Twain. He's our hockey's Mark Twain.
Him with the microphone is like taking candy from a baby.
There is no one that likes to hear themselves talk more than him, and I'm sitting in a room with three guys who love it.
You know what?
Because he's great
but he's really good at it.
Sure.
He's really good at it.
We have different definitions of good. That was game. It's game time. Presented by Bet365.
I love the Pat McAfee yelling the other day.
Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's ever ordinary. Bet365 must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Rather large game tonight for the Edmonton Oilers in Dallas with a chance to advance to their second straight Stanley Cup Final against the Florida Panthers. They are underdogs tonight. Plus 115 on the money line. On the other side of it, the Dallas Stars are minus 135. No Hyman, of course. I got to tell you, boys.
Echo him in.
I really, really like the Edmonton Oilers tonight.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time seeing them at that money. Plus money for that team, up 3-1 in the series. I know they don't, no Hyman, Ekholm back. I think the Oilers are going to win tonight. So, plus 115 is a pretty good number.
Is gonna win.
You do?
I do. You know why? Because they have to win. That's why. Yeah. And I don't mean because they're going to be eliminated, because everything up until this point is going to be lost for them. It will be crushing to them. I think it puts a lot of things at risk, maybe even DeBoer's job. I don't know. But this, you cannot lose at home, and you cannot lose with Zach Hyman out of the lineup at home tonight.
Yeah. I mean, Jamie Benn is in the last year of his contract. What happens there?
Yeah. And you can't lose to Edmonton in 5 games. Not this team that just traded for Rantanen and was supposed to be one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying they're going to win the series, but they can't lose at home tonight.
We got to go, but I'm going to shoot my shot tonight. Give me Jeff Skinner's first ever playoff goal tonight at plus 325.
Love that.
Yeah,
that was game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Tonight on Sportsnet, the Oilers and the Dallas Stars, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sportsnet and CBC. To get into that a little deeper, we got Craig Simpson joining us after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne. In just mere hours, we go to Game 5, Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars. To help us tee that up, let's welcome in, as always, a great friend of the show, Craig Simpson, former NHLer, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, as he gets ready. Simmer, how are you, pal?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
We're good. I just want to start where we kind of left off here, just coming to you in terms of the Dallas Stars here. Yes, it's a must-win. It's an elimination game, but for them to go out at home tonight with arguably one of the best power forwards in the game, and Zach Hyman not in the lineup. There's just no excuse for them not to extend this series. Your thoughts?
Well, I think if you've watched start to finish of this series, it's kind of been a little bit puzzling. I just haven't felt that Dallas is really at any point other than maybe, the huge comeback in the third period on home ice in Game 3. But, they have not been a team that looks like they've gotten to their game at the level that they want. I know Pete DeBoer keeps saying, I think we're improving, we're getting better. But to me, guys, they've been the second best team throughout this series. The series probably is where it should be. And, given the third period collapse by Edmonton in that one, it might have been, Game 1. It might have been one that Edmonton should be done by now. So I think the challenge is there. And the one thing about teams, guys, is it's hard to knock them out. It's hard to knock them out at home. Guys have huge pride. They had huge expectations. I think they felt that they were probably going to be the better team maybe coming in to this one. So by no means is this an easy given that Edmonton can close it out. But quite honestly, Edmonton has looked like a team that's destined or at least determined to make that possible.
Simmer, the thing I can't make sense of with this Oilers team, looking as consistently good as they have in dispatching very credible opponents, is they don't seem to be making those glaring mistakes. And I thought watching the Oilers at times this year, it's like, yeah, they're good. They're quite good. But like Bouchard's going to make some mistakes, or Wallman might, or Klingberg might, or whoever might on the back end. I just don't know where those have gone. How has this team managed to be so consistently solid with some guys who typically might make a couple upsies?
Well, I think they're just, quite frankly, it's experience. The core and even the periphery guys have been through the experience last year, and they realized those mistakes cost you. Those little mistakes early, or a blind pass. I think I did a replay in it must have been Game 3 where Janmark, one goal game, was behind the net in the offensive zone, battling hard for the puck, had a couple of chances where, maybe Game 45 you throw it blind to the middle. There's a real mindset of these guys knowing what's the right play, what's the safe play, and, what play will not get us in trouble. And I'm really impressed collectively. This team is a mature team that got their heart ripped out last year, that has spent all year not so much worried about, how great are we in the regular season, but the opportunity, and especially after losing the first two games of the playoffs in Los Angeles, it's like, oh no, we're not letting this happen. And this 11-2 run, Justin, has looked a lot like what you've been talking about. A team that doesn't make mistakes, a team that plays calm under pressure, a team that finds a way to generate offense, even though they're playing defensively. I just was listening to a clip from Matt Duchene saying, we've had lots of pushes in their offensive zone and a team that we've been pressuring and getting good chances. But this Edmonton team is one that can defend for 45 seconds in their zone and bang, 8 seconds later, it's been in our net. And that really has been the story of the way that this Oiler team collectively has played. And quite frankly, it's been impressive.
Simmer, there you get to defend a little stronger. Matthias Ekholm set to join again, and no one would ever sit there and say that he shouldn't come back in the lineup. We know he's arguably their best guy, but is there a danger of upsetting the rhythm right now on the Edmonton Oilers on the back end? Is there a risk of that at all?
I think you probably saw that a little bit in Game 4, and my gut said that Ekholm probably could have played in Game 4 maybe. It's only 2 days later now, and he's back in. But I do think, we've talked at great length. Troy Stetcher has played so well in that role, and his 6 games that he's played have been excellent. And so it's hard for a coach to take a guy out. I think it might have been the plan, had Hyman not got hurt, to have 11-7 here in Dallas. Give Ekholm those extra 2 days. You don't really want to take Stetcher out because of the way that he's played and the continuity that the D has had. But I just think with Hyman out, 11-7's not nearly as attractive because you don't have another, guy like Hyman that can play 21, 22 minutes. So I'm sure it's a tough call for Chris Knobloch, but Kip, that's probably my feeling that, he was really close to playing in game 4. They just bought the extra time and probably weren't going to take Stetcher out of the lineup had Hyman not got hurt.
So remember we had Jason Greger on yesterday, and he was talking about Mikko Rantanen's postseason, and he said that Mikko Rantanen has 17 of his points in 5 games in the playoffs, and otherwise it hasn't been, entirely red hot. What have you made of his performance with the Stars?
Yeah, inconsistent. I think that's kind of been, to the guy's credit, what a year he's had, right? Like, you talk about being all over the map and having to deal with, the mental part of the game. I don't know what his family situation is, but that had to be such upheaval. And I think his playoffs has kind of looked like that. First 4 games of the playoffs, 1 assist. They were 2-2. And then, as you said, he just blew up in those critical games later in the Colorado series, and then early in the series against Winnipeg. Had 9 goals and 18 points in 7 games, and they were 5-2. Well, now, the last 6 games, he's got 2 assists, and they're 2-4. So I think it does go hand in hand with the fortunes of the Dallas Stars. And, what a tough one for Pete DeBoer, too, because it's not like a guy that you've had forever, that intricately what his personality is like, what he needs to get you driven. So I think it's been a hard coach, don't you think, for Pete DeBoer in terms of, do I coddle this guy right now? Do I push him? I know the lengths that he can play and the excellence he's had, but it's been inconsistent. And I don't think there's any question. Your earlier comment about Dallas not going out easily, if he's not playing an impactful part, I don't see any way that they can keep this thing going. And that's kind of been a little hit or miss in the last 6 games, the way he's played.
Oh, I listened. The whole lineup outside of Rantanen has been miss a lot. And I just look at this lineup and I'm like, who is there to really give Rantanen some support here? I think they've got good hockey players, but how great they are or how much they've risen in the playoffs must be a little bit of a disappointment from Hintz to Robertson to, and I'm not sure where Matt Duchene is in all of this. And we like Jamie Benn, but Jamie Benn's on the 17th hole right now, I mean, maybe this lineup isn't what we made it out to be.
No, and I think that's probably 2 series in a row against Edmonton that's been the narrative. Like last year, it was the same thing. Better goaltending in Dallas, better depth in Dallas. Special teams pretty good for Edmonton. That series showed better depth for the Edmonton Oilers. A better Stuart Skinner, 922 compared to Ottinger's 901 last year. Well, you look at this year, it's not even close. As Ottinger's 869, Skinner 939. They flipped the script again. And I just think that's the challenge when you get into these specific matchups. There's only 3 teams left in the NHL that are still playing. And it comes down to a specific matchup at a specific time. And quite frankly, both years, I think the Dallas Stars went in feeling like they were a better team and a deeper team, and they haven't proven it. The top guys just have not risen to the level of the entire team, I think, the way that Edmonton's played. I think for Pete DeBoer going out now, you got to find a way. I think you put Wyatt Johnson with Rantanen. Johnson had 10 goals last year. You got to find a way to spark a kid who's still young, who's still learning the game at this intense of a level, but he's got that ability. He's got to play with a little bit of flair. He's got to play with some confidence. They haven't had that. They haven't had that from Robertson, although he scored in the last 2 games. I think you have to shuffle it up and say, erase the negatives that are in anybody's mind right now. We got 1 game to try to stay alive. I'm going to ride the guys that in the past have given me that. I think you have to find something. Rupe Hintz and Rantanen haven't really connected in this series at all. I'd be switching that up if I were Pete.
Yeah, that makes some sense. So we were talking about the Oilers and just saying that, basically everyone's playing good. You go down the list and be like, how about this guy? RNH, he's awesome. Oh, everyone is playing good. But I don't know how much of it happens without, of course, the big 2. I want to talk about Leon Draisaitl for a second, just because I can't think of someone who plays a more, I don't know, enjoyable playoff style of hockey. You're more confident in the way he handles the puck and thinks. And you've watched a lot of playoff years and seen a lot of success over the. Does he not just seem built to drive a team in these deep series?
100%. You know, everybody talks about how the game gets tighter in close quarters and, you know, there's no time or space. You watch his game, you know, even game 14 of a regular season, he can play any way. He can go flying down the ice at 100 miles an hour. He's a faster guy than maybe you expect out of the big body. But his entire makeup of his game is stick your rear end out, get your arms, protect the puck, buy a little bit of time, spin off, put the puck between your stick and skate. I mean, all the little details of skill sets that you'd want, and especially you add to a 230-pound guy who's got a long reach and a great shot. You know, like that is playoff hockey in a nutshell, and that's the way that he is so comfortable playing in those style of games. It's been brilliant to watch. You know, you go back to what was it, 22, both he and Connor in those series against the Calgary Flames when he was playing injured even, you got a feeling, he's got a drive like his teammate. You know, their drive is like Gretzky and Messier, like, you know, like it is really going back for me watching to the game's best player and arguably one of the top 5 other players in the entire game. And it's watching two guys that now don't have the cups that those two have had. But, man, that drive and that intensity and the understanding of how important their role is exactly like watching it or living what we did. Like in 1988, we had 16-2 guys to win the Stanley Cup. But they're 11-2 right now since those 2 losses. You know, like that's a pretty significant accomplishment. And it comes from the drive and the calmness and the consistency of those top players, drags everybody along, makes guys, you know, you put on the board, Pete DeBoer has a game plan to try to shut down McDavid, try to shut down Draisaitl. Here's what they do. Maybe even Bouchard on the back end. But you don't have the game like Gretzky and Messier. How do you shut down Jari Kurri in a one-timer? How do you stop Glenn Anderson going on the net? How do you get Jesse Tikkanen when he's going? Well, right now you had Zach Hyman in that same way. How do you stop Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? He's been the best player, arguably offensively, in the series. That's been the challenge for Dallas. You got to focus on those two guys. And like you said, Justin, everybody else has risen their game to their highest level as well. It's been fun to watch, and hopefully for them, they're a driven bunch that wants to do what Florida did last night and get that rematch ready to go and start it again.
Simmer, one more for me, and I'll let you go as you prepare tonight for the Oilers and Dallas Stars on Sportsnet and CBC here. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse here for you here, buddy, but I may anyways here. So how much of a void could we see as early as tonight with no Zach Hyman or the next series against the Florida Panthers?
Yeah, I think you're not to look ahead, right? But I think it does have an impact on tonight. I think much like the way they played in Game 4 without him, other guys like Perry stepped in admirably and played a significant role, as he has all year. But let's not kid ourselves. Corey Perry's not Zach Hyman in terms of the pace in the game and the strength that he brings. I'll be interested to see, because a guy that, quite frankly, to me, still hasn't really fit in or found his way is Trent Frederick. And he hasn't really looked comfortable. He's played okay. He hasn't really showed much of the intensity and the things that you would maybe expect from him. And Nick, when you get to Florida, Hyman is a huge loss. I mean, he had a concerted effort this year to be physical. He's done that each and every game. That's a huge void against a team that plays the way Florida does. So, maybe you get the opportunity. Arvidsson came in, played hard and well, but he's no Hyman. I'll be interested to see if Frederick hey, man, all you got to do is play well for 7 games and, play the best hockey of your life and fill a role. And I know the most heartbroken guy is Hyman to be injured at the time that is most important to him. But somebody gets the opportunity then to walk into his shoes and play a role. And boy, what an opportunity it may be.
Simmer, Great job throughout these Stanley Cup Finals, you and CC, and tonight will be no different. Looking forward to your call. Thanks for doing this, pal.
All right, take care, guys. See you.
That is Craig Simpson, NHL on Sportsnet. So I don't think we had. I don't think we had this discussion, but the Oilers targeting Hintz and his injury.
Yeah.
Bouchard again.
Buddy, I'm telling you right now, like, for me, the ultimate insult as a Dallas Star was Evan Bouchard doing that and laughing all the way to the bench.
Yeah.
If I'm Hintz, I am following Evan Bouchard
into
the bench, and I'm taking a whack at him. And at the worst, I'm looking at 2 minutes each for slashing. But to do nothing on an Evan Bouchard is to me.
You don't get to make those chops.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're sorry. Did we just green light Evan Bouchard? That's what I'm thinking.
If I watch that and I'm like, Dallas is done. Yeah. When Evan Bouchard gets to do that and laugh at the bench and you do nothing, you want to talk about bad culture on an NHL team to try to win a Stanley Cup? Rupe. No good, my friend. No good. No freebies.
Well, Rupert would have gone back at him, though.
Rupert
would have.
Even though
Rupe did not.
If any of his teammates saw that, or mentioned it to someone, that's...
Like, that doesn't fly on Corey Perry's watch. It doesn't fly on Matthew Tkachuk's watch.
Well, you know what else? That was also Tampa Bay's reputation. Was that you'd give someone a rabbit punch and 5 Lightning guys were flying at you with their gloves in the air, and it's like, God, not this again. Good teams tend to have that pack mentality.
I'm excited for the game tonight.
I love the Oilers team right now in the playoffs. They're just so fun to watch.
And I'll tell you something. That Skinner takes sometimes a beating.
Yeah.
But
Skinner?
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner. Okay. But he's been fantastic, and he answers the bell all the time. He looks people in the eye. He answers honestly. He's a treat.
He's a man.
He is.
He's a man.
He is. He's a man.
Stat. I don't have my second page of the lineup. Can you go in the Simmer? I put a stat in there about his save percentage in their wins this year.
Stu Skinner owns a 5-4 record this postseason. Is .985 save percentage in wins. Is the highest on record for one postseason. Well, his 0.39 goals against average in wins is the lowest in the league's modern era since 1943.
985? What the hell is that?
985 in wins.
I should hope they win.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Got a 985 in their losses.
Yeah.
What?
I'm assuming Edmonton gets past Dallas here at some point, if not tonight. Yeah. But I'm sad for Zach Hyman.
Yes.
I am. I'm really. I love this guy.
Me too.
And he's good for our game. He plays the game honestly. I'm not going to enjoy the final as much without him against Florida.
I'm not going to go that far.
No. Seriously,
it would have been better.
Sam, it would have been better.
Sure.
It'll still be good.
It's going to be very good.
But it's better with a guy like Zach Hyman.
How impossible is it for him?
I think he had wrist surgery.
Wrist surgery.
Quickly, before we go.
2 weeks from now, game 6, game 7.
The jersey.
They're giving these jerseys away at the Jays game tomorrow. Look at those. Vladdy jersey, City Connect or whatever. 15,000 people first get tickets and go. Unbelievable.
Go to the Jays game.
Sammy.
What?
Great corporate job.
Hey,
there.
listen.
I
love the Jays.
Cool sweater.
Love the Jays. Bud.
Yes, we
Got
love
Guerrero
the Jays.
Jr. on the back.
Yeah, I know you don't really love the Jays. Like I
love the Jays.
Hey, of course he does. He's just mad at them for what's happening.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the electric 2-0 victory last night.
I was a face painter, Jay's face painter once upon a time.
I bought tickets today. I'll be there on the weekend.
Nice.
All right, jam-packed show. Our thanks to Luke Fox, Ed Jovanovski, and Craig Simpson. We are back at our unregularly scheduled time.
Yeah, tomorrow.
What time, Sammy?
I think 3 probably.
3
to 4.
Check your local listings, everybody. Have a great night. Enjoy Game 5.